All right, guys, we're ready for our Four Seasons sunroom, and Daddy's gonna get a rec room with refreshments.
Oh no, we'll be sleeping under the stars.
Mom, what about the one with, the fun?
Nice try, little bro. It's a gym. My gym.
Hey, Grandma's getting her Four Seasons garden room. Weather tight and still like being outdoors.
Maybe a living room. Oh no, wait, a family hub.
Yeah!
No matter what the budget, the season, or the climate, Four Seasons sunrooms let you and your family enjoy the outdoors inside. Call now to receive your free, no-obligation brochure from the premier manufacturer of sunrooms since 1975.
More reasons for Four Seasons now.
To find out more, call toll-free 800-928-7007. That's 800-928-7007. Call 800-928-7007 today.
Wake up, America. I think I got something to say to you. I love the United States of America, and I want you to love the United States of America too. Wake Up America Radio with Dr. A and Lou Bell is not a safe space, so enter at your own risk. You will be exposed to the truth, and we will endure the consequences. Now, rest assured, Dr. A will not try to put his brain into your head. I will, however, motivate you to think and to use the analytical part of your brain that very few people want to use because it requires actual effort and actual work. Hey, good afternoon, evening, wherever you are, folks. This is Dr. A with Wake Up America Radio. As you know, Lou Esposito is hopefully on the line. She is my producer, my sidekick, and of course I have given her the honorary tactical call sign of Wench. Why? Because she doesn't take crap from anybody. Are you there, Lou?
I'm still here. I haven't bailed on you yet. Yeah, like any good Viking girl, I don't take crap from anybody.
I tell you what, we're pre-recording this on Sunday, the 10th of July, to be played in Philadelphia on that wonderful station, WNJC, on Tuesday, the 12th, and then on K98 on Thursday, the 14th of July. And this week has been, in my humble opinion, an unprecedented week for the United States of America. Those of you who want to read a really good book, read my latest book, Politics in America, Lecture Notes of a Lunatic Professor, and that will be Dr. A, the lunatic. But I speak the truth and endure the consequences. Those of you that know me, that's the truth. And what I told you, and I predicted in that book, that the revolution would be fought in and amongst our neighborhoods and streets. And guess what, folks? It's happening right now in places like Missouri, Dallas, Texas, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Tennessee. It's happening. And I just want to start off here. This whole show is going to be talking about our ruling class, America's so-called ruling class, in a war against us, the rest of us. Now, as you know, one of my true loves is Pac-10 football, and I'm counting the days until it returns. You all probably know that I'm a big UCLA Bruin. That's my alma mater, and I can't wait to hear those famous words, "It's football time in Westwood, California." One of the things that you look for in a football game, Lou, is that pivotal moment, that specific play, that drive, or a decision that turns the tide of the football game and shifts the momentum. Extremely important in football, probably more so than any other game that we play. As I reflect on this past week, one of such horrific tragedy in Dallas, Texas, and I'm an honorary Texan. I think this week all of us are Texans, Lou. All of us are Texans. But I believe it was a pivotal week, a moment that may have a long-term positive effect for our country, our beloved constitutional republic based on democratic principles here in the United States of America. This week began, and in fact, we did a whole show on Independence Day. So it began with all of us preparing for that special American celebration on this past Monday, July 4th, our 240th Independence Day. Think about that, Lou. This great nation, this beacon of liberty, freedom, and democracy has been in existence for only 240 years. This is the land where the individual is sovereign and endowed with certain unalienable rights from our Creator, God Himself. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I would say property as well. That was what Locke taught us. Just imagine what we've achieved and accomplished since those 56 courageous men pledged their lives, fortunes, and their sacred honor as they affixed their names to that document that established these United States of America. Of course, I'm talking about the Declaration of Independence. Last week on our show, I read you not the entire Declaration of Independence, but almost in its entirety. All I left out was the 26 grievances that Jefferson wrote in there. But my students all read the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. So I thought that was important for the listeners around the nation and in Philadelphia, around the world, to hear those words. But not even 24 hours after the great celebrations that took place in this country, the very foundation of our country was cracked severely. First, we watched as the director of the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, informed us that a former Secretary of State had lied and placed our national security at risk over her own personal and political gain. And worse than that, Lou, that there would be no consequences for her aberrant behavior. Now, you have to ask yourself, how do we go from those 56, how should I put this, selfless servants who established this great republic to such despicable character? Actually, such lack of any standard of integrity, value, principle, or character. We learned this past Tuesday there's a new elite, a group of people above our rule of law and basic decency. Yet we saw the unfortunate standard bearer of the behavior join with another who possesses the most disgusting behavior, one who has repeatedly lied to the American people, one who abandoned Americans to die in their dour hour of need, 13 hours of need, and then lied to our nation and the families for political gain. Two people standing on a stage with the great seal of the office of the President of the United States, Barack Hussein Obama and Hillary Rodham Clinton, defiled that symbol. They defiled our nation and each one of us individually. The mind-raped people out there, Lou, don't get it. They don't understand what I'm telling you. In this week, we've witnessed the confirmation of a political party that has become a new American socialist party. Think communist, people. They've become a party rooted in lies, traitorous actions, race baiting, a party of radicals whose objective, and he told us this, is to fundamentally transform this nation from that which we celebrated on Monday, this past Monday, July 4th. I guess when we hear this in Philly, it'll be two Mondays ago. We know this party blocked legislation, Lou, to protect Americans from being assaulted or killed by illegal immigrants. We know this party eschewed our national sovereignty in favor of the establishment of sanctuary cities that law-abiding taxpayer dollars, money from you and me and everybody else out there working hard, to shield those who are here illegally. How could it be that the sacrifices of those 56 men in Philadelphia and the lives lost subsequently in order for this nation to gain its independence be so reprehensible to this party that they feel American pride and exceptionalism are nothing but cancerous and xenophobic? In Dallas, they suffered the horrible experience of having 5 law enforcement officers gunned down, killed. Actually, it was 12 law enforcement officers that were actually hit by the bullets because of the irresponsible rhetoric and purposeful fomenting of racial unrest from Barack Hussein Obama himself and other people like Louis Farrakhan. Those who take an oath, Lou, to safeguard our domestic tranquility are now targeted and demonized. Let's be honest. There are bad individuals in the world. There's bad cops. There's bad soldiers. There's bad lawyers. There's bad doctors. There's bad bankers. Lots of bad politicians and bad actors. There's even bad graduates of Cornell University, not Miss Stacy. But we do not denigrate an entire group. Yet when we have Americans killed in the second largest Islamic terror attack, this party says nothing about the horrific ideology that motivates these actions, but instead takes the opportunity to focus on their own insidious agenda. When we have the deadliest attack on law enforcement since 9/11, it's not about the ideology. The flames fueled and fanned by lies and wrongful emotional statements, such as made by the president and Hillary Clinton. But it's again all about the tool, the instrument. Since 2009, Lou, it has always been about eroding the reputation and delegitimizing our law enforcement officers, beginning with this statement from Barack Hussein Obama himself. The police acted stupidly. He had no idea what he was talking about. Monday, 2 Mondays ago, we celebrated 240 years of American independence. Yet these people are hell-bent on dependence and the expansion of a welfare nanny state. They scream about free and use divisive language to stoke the fires of a class and racial warfare. How soon could it be before we find certain hardworking and successful Americans themselves in their own neighborhoods, ambushed, just as the progressive socialist left has inspired the shootings against police in a variety of locations already: Texas, Tennessee, Georgia, Missouri, Florida. After all, the prescription for disaster the left follows is one of Lou's favorite things to read and understand: Rules for Radicals. She wants to understand it because she wants to understand the enemy. But through all of this, Dr. A sees the positive. This has been, again, I reiterate, a humbling, pivotal week in the United States of America. It has been a week when the progressive socialist left has been exposed. It has been a week when I've seen and read of Americans realizing finally that here is where they must take a stand. As in a Pac-10 football game, this is where the shift in momentum will occur. Just like how a pick-six interception can turn the tide of a game, it is happening right now. It is now what Ronald Reagan, your favorite president, spoke about back in October of 1964. And the date actually was 27 October 1964 in a speech that's called A Time for Choosing. I want you all to go and Google that. A Time for Choosing, Ronald Reagan. Listen to this speech. Reagan spoke of a rendezvous with destiny. And I believe this week, Lou, it is a pivotal moment that will set us all on the course to restore the republic. That is, the ones that are not mind raped, brainwashed, indoctrinated. Pick your term. As outlined in this missive of my collected thoughts, I listened to Reagan's speech again, and I implore you, if you're ready and willing, to take the field and shift the momentum in this seminal battle for the soul of our nation. Watch this speech. It's not very long. Google it and watch it. I want you to, if you deem it appropriate, share this speech with your family and friends. I want you to send it to your progressive socialist acquaintances, those mind-raped individuals that you know, and let them know you have a rendezvous with destiny. Reagan himself, as was Dr. A, was once a member of the Democratic Party. And then we both had our pivotal moment, our road to Damascus experience. Listen to his words and then see the relevance to today and what's happening in the United States of America, actually all over the world. We need not settle for what the new American Socialist Party of liars, traitors, race baiters, and radicals offers us. We are Americans. We can do so much better than this. Because after this week, we realize that we, too, have a rendezvous with destiny. Lou, 242 years ago, 56 men set us on this course. We must continue to run it, and we can only do as a civilized society that respects justice. I'm talking about real justice. And this week we saw injustice by the way of nepotism, cronyism, and corruption of political, media, educational, and entertainment elites. Leonidas said it back in Thermopylae in 490 BC. It was said at Fort Morris in 1778 in the Georgia province during the American Revolution. And the Texians said it in October 1835 at Gonzales. Come and take it. What do you think about that opening, Lou?
Well, I think several things. First of all, you have to know the enemy. And with regards to what has happened, not just in the past week, but over the past few years, with the racial tension that's been basically fueled by political rhetoric, because it has, and it has
Absolutely.
at least since, and I would say it goes back decades, but it started to ramp up toward the end of the Bush administration. It really came back into play a lot with the Clinton administration, because he was, quote unquote, the first black president. Many
Correct.
people called him that. And when Bush was running for president in his first term, there was a lot of talk about him being a racist, which I think everybody realizes now. Hopefully everybody realizes now that he isn't. And then, I think that's has a lot to do with why Obama was elected, because people, white and black, they were ready for a black president, if for no other reason, regardless of his qualifications. And a lot of people didn't take his qualifications into account because they wanted to put this to bed for once and for all. But now we're at that place where it's worse than ever, because the radicals were empowered on one side to become more and more divisive, which
Correct.
made the radicals on the other side become more and more divisive. And you talk about my non-friends, one of them said to me this week after the Dallas shootings, if we would just stop screaming at each other long enough to listen, we might get somewhere. To which I answered, radicals are never served by stopping their screaming. Radicals are always screaming about something.
That's correct. That's a very astute analysis. Ironically, the worst president in United States history, Barack Hussein Obama, and I teach the presidency, so I think I know what I'm talking about, was totally unqualified, not only to be a senator, but certainly to be the president. He just stood up and said that Hillary Clinton is the most qualified person, man or woman, ever to run for the presidency. He is completely wrong. She is totally unqualified. So many things that she's done makes her unqualified. She is, like him, a traitor, people. Listen to me. Trust Dr. A on this one subject.
One of her first jobs was on the Watergate Committee. She was released from that position for
Why?
prosecutorial misconduct, I believe. Basically for lying and cheating.
I just call them both traitors. Speak the truth and endure the consequences. A nation, Lou, can survive its fools, its mind-raped fools, and even the ambitious, but it cannot survive treason from within. An enemy at the gates is less formidable. Why? For he or she is known and carries their banner openly. But the traitor, Lou, moves amongst those within the gates freely. His or her sly whispers are rustling through all the alleys, heard in the very halls of government itself. Because the traitor appears not to be a traitor, tries very hard not to appear to be a traitor. He or she speaks in accents familiar to his or her victims. You ever notice when Hillary talks to Southerners or Hispanics or predominantly African Americans, she changes her accent to them?
You think I haven't noticed her fake Southern accent?
I know you have. I'm saying that to the listening audience. Yeah.
Okay.
This person wears our face and our arguments. He or she appeals to the baseness that lies deep within the hearts of all of us, men and women. But this person, this woman or man, rots the soul of a nation. He or she works secretly and unknown in the night to undermine the pillars, the principles, the values of the city. By city, I mean nation state. He or she infects the body politic so that it can no longer resist. A murderer is less to fear, Lou. What do you think about that?
I think that's true. The enemy is inside the gates. And
enemy is...
Yeah. It's the worst place for your enemy to be.
When I teach government, a lot of people ask me about the origins of government. Why do we have a government? You know what to govern means? It means to control. Nobody wants to be controlled. So why do we do it? Well, you know what? Some writers have so misunderstood society and confounded society with government, so they leave little or no distinction between the two. Society and government for them is the same, but they're wrong. Whereas they are not only different, they have different origins. Society, Lou, is produced by our wants. Government is produced by our wickedness. The former promotes our happiness positively by uniting our mutual affections. The latter, the government, negatively by restraining our vices. The one encourages intercourse amongst us. We want to be interacting with each other. The other creates division and distinction. The first is a patron. The last is a punisher. Loose society in every state is a blessing. But government, even in its best state, is but a necessary evil. In its worst state, an intolerable one. For when we suffer or are exposed to the same miseries by a government, which we might expect in a country without government, our calamities are heightened by reflecting that we must furnish the means by which we suffer. We just did that. We put them in office. Government, like dress, is a badge of lost innocence. Now, I'm not saying I want to see everybody naked, but it's a badge of lost innocence. The palaces of kings, of tyrants, are built on the ruins of paradise. For were the impulses of man clear, of conscience, uniform, irresistibly obeyed, human beings would need no other lawgiver. As Madison said, but we're not angels. If we were, we wouldn't need all these laws. But that's not the case. He finds that it is necessary for us to surrender a part of our property to furnish the means for protection of the rest. And this is induced to do so by creating these governments. We have to choose one evil or the other. Security being the true design and end of government, it unanswerably follows that whatever form therefore appears most likely to make sure that we have the least expense and the greatest benefit, that is the preferable government to choose. Churchill said the worst government is democracy, except for all the rest. He also said the worst economic system is capitalism, except for all the rest. So nobody wants to be governed. You try to govern me all the time. You try to control me and manage me on the radio show. Do I like it? Listeners, do I like it? No, I don't like it.
I don't just try, I do it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, and with that said, it's time for a break, Doc.
All right, I can take a break.
Okay, we'll be right back. Music for Wake Up America Radio is provided by Tennessee Jed, whose new CD, Stronger, is available on iTunes.
Don't go forgetting me, baby, but I don't want to stick around. The world has been driving me crazy. Don't want to think of it meaning way too profound. A darkness abounds.
I don't think you want to be near me when the ship has run aground. The water is shallow and hazy. The storm is upon us. It's too late to turn around.
This is JD.
And this is Stacy.
Join us Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern for Game On. Remember,
lock up the children and the old folks.
Game On, the home of libertarian conservatism.
Where no one is safe, no one is spared, not even the hosts.
Oh, that was supposed to be a spin cycle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. We love you anyway. Right round, baby.
Self-monitoring
right round.
Ebola
Anyway.
radio strikes again.
Anyway.
Anybody see the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? For God's sake, I need an antidote. Just do your rant. Let's pop out of the segment.
Find us on Twitter at JD and Stacy.
You're listening to K98Talk.com.
I've seen this happen before. There's a full moon out tonight. I'm a fool, but you can't fool me twice. I wear my secret deception just like a disguise. When I reveal myself in the light, stick around and you might pay the price. Enough with the questions, it's time
All right, we're back with Wake Up America Radio here on WNJC and K98 Talk. Folks, here's something that I have all of my students read, no matter what class I teach. It's called the Federalist Papers. The Federalist Papers is probably the greatest piece of political philosophy written in the United States of America about our constitutional republic. In the Federalist Papers, again, they were written in 1787 and in 1788, James Madison argued for ratification of our fledgling Constitution. Throughout this fine piece of political philosophy, Madison, what did he do? He reassured the American people that our newly designed federal government was not something to be frightened of. This new federal apparatus that had just been created by this Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia would never ever deprive the United States or individual citizens of their hard-earned liberty. After all, the people in the electorate would most assuredly elect men to federal office, and at that time it was only men, who were the best and the brightest from amongst our population. That's what Madison said. Well, folks, I hate to tell you this, but James Madison was wrong. An analysis of our electoral history reveals that quite often the American people have elected tyrants, criminals, buffoons, and total incompetence to serve in office, primarily due to the overreaching influence of campaign finance. Mm-hmm. Now, a clear example
I was just thinking some of them start out as pretty decent people, and the system corrupts them.
All power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Exactly. Absolutely it does.
A clear example of what we just talked about is, in my humble opinion, Barack Hussein Obama. Let's look at some history about him. Less than 4 hours after it had begun, our CIA station chief in Benghazi informed President Obama that the consulate attack was coordinated as an assault by Al-Qaeda. Armed with that crucial piece of information, Barack decided to go to bed and let the chips fall where they may in Libya. So did Mrs. Clinton. They went to bed. They didn't care enough to stay awake in the Situation Room.
Right. And Al-Qaeda in Libya was called Al-Nusra, by the way.
Well, yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Why did Barack do this? Because he had a long flight the next day to a fundraising event in, I think it was Las Vegas. And then for the next, year and a half, better than a year and a half, Obama, Mrs. Clinton, and all the minions flat out lied to the American people about the Benghazi consulate attack and the murder of our 4 brave citizens there.
Well, they reinstituted that lie, too, the day after the report was issued.
Exactly.
In case you didn't notice. It was the video again.
I did. I saw that.
It's the video again.
Why do they do that, Lou? Because there are mind-raped people out there that will believe anything that comes out of their mouths because they want so badly to believe.
Put
they don't
briefly,
want their free stuff to be cut off.
Put more concisely, because they can.
Well, yeah, and they want their free stuff to continue. They want to, be a contributing citizen. They want everybody else that's contributing to give them free room and board, and then the rest of the freebies out there.
Right, and they said they empower our government to lie to us because they believe them.
What was it they said? It was merely a spontaneous. This is what Susan Rice, the rest of them concocted. Hillary and Barack, they were all in on this. It was merely a spontaneous, violent reaction to a YouTube video. That's what they reassured us. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, as this damning evidence trickled out from all the stonewalling, this transparent administration, it became blatantly obvious that Barack Hussein Obama is the kind of man who is not only incompetent as a leader, and of course I'm judging his incompetence or competence from the perspective of a true American citizen, true American patriot who reveres our Constitution. If I judge his competence from being an Islamo-communist revolutionary, he's highly competent. But we don't want that kind of guy in the White House. He is a man who is extremely comfortable engaging in a pattern of serial lies to camouflage his incompetence as an American leader and his downright criminal, traitorous behavior. He, Lou, in my opinion, humble opinion, has grown accustomed to his lies being covered up by a vast array of conspiring individuals in our society, from the media to the bureaucracy to the public to the courts to his own political party. Bluntly stated, President Obama was never trustworthy, and as I just mentioned earlier on the show, will go down in history as the worst chief executive ever voted into the White House. Unfortunately, as brilliant as they were, the founding fathers didn't foresee that America would eventually have incredibly stupid people within the electorate. Jonathan Gruber was right. Ignorant, I call them loser parasites, that are propagandized into believing that they are the victims, and who out of fear would vote for any candidate that would supposedly give them a measure of temporary security in exchange for the surrender of their individual freedom. These, as I call them, lech voters, have chosen, Lou, they have chosen slavery over liberty. They have chosen involuntary servitude over freedom. Anyone who willingly gives up their individual liberty in exchange for some temporary security deserves neither one of those. Again, on the last day of the Constitutional Convention, a citizen, I believe it was a woman, walked up to Benjamin Franklin and posed this question. They called him Dr. Franklin. "What did you give us today, Dr. Franklin?" Ben replied to this woman, "A republic, if you can keep it." Remember this, folks, a democratic republic based on constitutional principles, okay, is always politically unstable, and it requires constant nurturing and protection to survive. Reagan taught us, and this is something that a lot of other people have said, our democratic republic is never more than just one generation away from total extinction. Good men and good women must boldly, courageously stand up and fight with courage and fight with conviction for the preservation and the continued longevity of the United States of America. Or, trust me, trust Dr. Red, it's one subject, folks, or it will vanish like a whisper in the wind. There is no safety, folks, for honorable men and women except by believing all possible evil from evil men and women. And in my notes, I put down Mrs. Clinton. In my opinion, she is the epitome of evil. The only thing, and Edmund Burke taught us this, father of modern conservatism, the only thing required for evil to triumph is for good men and women to do nothing. Again, I hearken back to what we talked about earlier in the first segment. I think this is a pivotal moment for the United States of America. I truly do. And I think enough people are waking up that we're going to fight off these heinous traitors that are trying to destroy our country. Lou, what do you think about that?
My mom always said, it always gets worse before it gets better. I have to believe that this is the worst and it's going to get better. And it does take things like this to wake people up sometimes. And I believe that it's not just, you talked about before the show some of the rhetoric coming out of the left and the Black Panther Party and even certain segments of Black Lives Matter. That rhetoric, very negative, very violent rhetoric, I think is waking a lot of people on the left up because they don't agree with it. And it's going to split that contingent into two groups. One of them, the more violent, is hopefully going to be far smaller than the more peaceful one. And it may take some turmoil to get there. It could get very ugly. But when we come out the other side, it's going to be a lot better rather than a lot worse.
I'm going to make a dreadful prediction here. Now, you and I are slated right now to join forces with J.D. and Miss Stacy up there in Cleveland, Ohio for the Republican National Convention the week of the 18th of July.
Right.
Again, I don't know if I can be there because I have other obligations to train these Air Force guys to go to war, but I'm going to try to be there. But I'm going to make this prediction right now, a dreadful prediction. Somebody, maybe many people, are going to die in Cleveland because they are planning huge protests. And I don't think Cleveland's PD is ready for it. I think the Ohio governor, John Kasich, should call out the National Guard. Somebody, and maybe more than just one, are going to die in Cleveland. That's my humble prediction.
You think he'd be prepared because he's going to be there.
Well, yeah, but you know what? Based on what is happening right now and being in this pivotal moment, we don't owe them anything. We don't owe them respect. We don't owe them loyalty. We don't owe them obedience. You know what? Sometimes in the course of human events, and we read the declaration last week, sometime in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another. It is high time to declare our personal independence from any remnant of obligation to those who have literally spit upon our Constitution and spit upon the rule of law. Again, I reiterate, we owe them nothing.
We don't owe anybody anything. We owe nobody anything.
They have to earn our respect, our loyalty, and our obedience. At this point, we owe them nothing.
Yeah.
I'm a constitutional conservative. I believe in that document that came out of the Founding Fathers. I believe in that Declaration of Independence wholeheartedly. I stood up my entire adult life and took the oath to protect and defend that Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Is it time for a break, Lou, or should I keep going? What do you want to do?
I
can keep going.
I think it's time for a break if you want to come out and talk about the news.
Okay, all right, we'll come back and we'll talk about some news. I'm sure you got some, and I'll save the rest of this for next time.
We got a lot of news.
A lot of news. Okay, I'm ready.
Exactly. All right, we'll be right back. Wake Up America Radio on WNJC is part of the Conservative Commando Radio Network.
I looked all over, so how can it be? Here comes the wrecking ball, swinging at me.
K98 Talk is continuing to expand its lineup. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at advertise@k98talk.org.
They know I mean well and smiling as hell if they try. They open their mouths, only hatred spews out with their lies.
Okie dokie, folks, we're back here with Wake Up America Radio. All you good people out there in the Philadelphia listening audience, WNJC and K98 Talk, all those, 3 people now that get in the romper room? We're going to talk about some news that happened. We kind of have sort of addressed that, but we had the FBI director basically, in my opinion, is now leaving it up to the people whether Mrs. Clinton is going to be indicted and basically politically indicted and sent into the dustbin of history. He laid out an ironclad case for her to go to jail for probably 100 years. And then in the last 2 minutes of that 19-minute speech, he said, but there was no intent, criminal intent. Intent has nothing to do with it, people, when you're guarding classified information. Intent has nothing to do with it. It can, but she had extreme carelessness with handling it. In fact, he even said that.
Well, in statutes that involve negligence, intent is very seldom, if ever, factored. And the reason for that is when you are arrested for neglecting your child, if you say, I didn't intend to neglect, they don't care. If you didn't intend, if a doctor neglects a patient, and the patient is and then is sanctioned or sued, or he can't say, well, I didn't intend to neglect the patient. That doesn't matter whether you intended to or not. A pharmaceutical company is charged with the neglect by the FDA because they didn't ensure that their compounds were correct and people died because of it. The fact that they didn't intend to do that doesn't matter. They are expected to know.
I didn't intend to, with my vehicle, run over that beautiful black woman who just happens to be pregnant. I didn't intend to hit her with my car, but seeing that baby, you're dead. Is that an excuse? No.
No, it's not.
No.
It's not. And if the officer who shot Alton, the guy in Louisiana, said, well, I pulled my gun out, but I didn't intend for it to go off, You think
Right.
that's going to matter to anyone? I doubt it.
They're still walking down the street saying, hands up, don't shoot. Michael Brown did not have his hands up, people. See, I use the term mind raped. Those people are mind raped by individuals who want them to think he had his hands up and he was shot himself, in cold blood. It didn't happen, people.
Are they? It doesn't matter. The video showed it. It doesn't matter. It's not a matter of, again, it's intentional. They intend to lie, and I would assert that most of those people know very well that narrative was incorrect, that wasn't the truth. They don't care. It sounds good. It's a good soundbite.
The one in Baton Rouge, and my 4 of my 5 kids still live there in New Orleans area, Louisiana. I saw a second video from a different angle, and they had the guy. He was not cooperating. They were trying to handcuff him, and then all of a sudden I heard the one cop go, "I see a gun!" And then that's when they shot. Drop the gun. He didn't do it. You pull a gun on a cop, folks, you can expect to get shot.
Well, and here I'm going to say something that's going to surprise people.
Okay.
In situations like that, and I don't want to judge police officers whose lives are in danger. I can only say for myself. In situations like that, the very last thing I would do is pull out my gun and deliver a fatal shot to someone. Now, would I pull my gun out and shoot him in that arm so he couldn't reach for that gun? Yeah, probably. That's probably exactly what I'd do. But you can't... Killing someone is... We can't necessarily say, all right, well, it was a quote-unquote justified shooting, and just go on with life. We have to, on both sides, value life a little bit more than that. But that does not justify anything that's been done on the other side. And they only hurt their argument when they do the things and say the things that they're doing. But they don't care about that because it's good rhetoric and it gets people stirred up and it makes people angry. And it makes people angry to the point that they're ambushing, which is our, another story that we have to talk about. They're ambushing police officers and they're killing police officers, and that's not right either.
I told you, I predicted that the war would be fought amongst us in our neighborhoods, in our streets, and then I was getting ready to allude to the one in Minnesota where that very odd situation where she posted that the dying moments of her alleged boyfriend there on Facebook, and she was calmly talking about how he got shot and of course lying the whole time and died. When you look at another angle of that, you can see that guy had a pistol, a gun right there on his left thigh, and he had just armed robbed a convenience store, and that's why he was pulled over, not for a tail light. The guy looked like the guy they were looking for just 20 minutes ago, and he had a gun. You pull a gun on a cop, expect to get shot. Folks, it's just that simple. When the police officer has you detained, you follow their orders because the rule of law says you must follow their orders.
Yeah.
If you don't, then you can expect bad things to happen. Bad juju, as we say in naval aviation, is going to come your way.
Well, and I agree with I totally agree with that. And I would, if I ever pulled my gun on a police officer, I would expect to get shot.
Exactly.
But that doesn't mean that I have to be okay with all the killing that police officers do, and the I don't want to say abuse, but how physical they get with some people. It's not always okay, and I think we have to. I think we have to agree with that side to some extent that it can't always just be okay. Everything that they do can't just be okay. We have to question it to some extent, right, or we don't have any more credibility than anyone else does. Then hands up, don't shoot. So I think we have to. I think we have to question it at some point and say, "Hey, it's not always okay. We need to look into it. There needs to be a full investigation, and some of these guys do need to be prosecuted and sent to jail, or taken off the force. And maybe everybody that's a cop shouldn't be a cop."
Right. This Micah X. Johnson, Xavier Johnson, who shot 12 cops in Dallas, and 5 of them are dead. There's several of them still in serious condition. I think I tweeted out and put it on my Facebook. a few hours after that occurred, from the next morning, hey, today we are all Texans. And that's true. That was not just an attack on our police officers. It was an attack on all of us.
Well, they weren't doing anything. They were protecting protesters.
Well,
they
you're
were
wrong. They were doing a lot. They were
barrel.
protecting the First Amendment rights.
They were fish in a barrel, and someone took them out. And as you know, a sniper took them out in the most cowardly of ways. Yeah. And I mean we have to be level-headed about this and say none of this is okay. None of it's okay.
He was, in further retrospect, of course, we always wait for the facts to come in. And like Barack Hussein Obama, the police acted stupidly. He just goes off on his ideological rants.
And that doesn't help.
It doesn't help. We're not supposed to speculate. But we're finding out that he got kicked out of the United States Army and that he has lots of ties to this new Black Panther Party, which to me basically is a terrorist organization, domestic terrorism, and said, I want to kill white people. I want to kill white police officers. That's what I want to do.
And now they're saying that he was planning a larger attack, and this protest made him move up his plans.
Right, and one of the biggest morons in this administration is that guy that runs the Department of Homeland Security, Jay Johnson. He said it's too early to really talk about and discuss what his motivation was. Are you kidding me? He told you what his motivation was, sir. He wouldn't even negotiate with a white Dallas police officer who was the hostage negotiation team member. I want to talk to a black guy. He killed those people because he hates white people and he's part of the Black Power movement. I was involved in a Twitter, what do they call those, thread, timeline, whatever it is, thread, and I said, I'm not prejudiced against women, homosexuals, Latinos, African Americans. What I'm prejudiced against and what I discriminate against is your behavior. If you behave in a way that I don't think my family should associate with you, then of course I'm going to be biased against you. It has nothing to do with what color you are, or I almost said something I should have said. She always tells me not to say really bad things, folks. She is controlling me. Or whether you're a man or a woman, or what you self-identify as, or your sexual preference, I don't care. But if you engage in behavior that I think is loathsome, I'm not going to associate with you, nor let my family associate with you. Is that wrong, Lou?
No, I think that if we're going to judge people, it should be on their behavior.
Yeah.
And whether or not we want to associate them should always be determined by their behavior. I think that that's fair.
Right.
And I would expect people to judge me by my behavior. Whether or not you want to associate with me, please judge me on my behavior.
Well, your little friend there, the Cornell lady, Miss Stacy, was kind of cutting up on Twitter at Dr. A's expense. And I was being nice to her. I owe her a steak and lobster dinner because Hillary didn't get indicted yet. There's still hope for that, by the way. She did commit perjury of Congress. And
well, didn't they reopen the probe?
Whatever comes out of the State Department is just hogwash. I wouldn't believe anything the State Department tells you. Nothing.
Oh, okay.
They're the biggest ideologues in the federal government. I think
the only thing
more useless is the UN.
Yeah. Well,
State Department for me is useless.
Well, they are an arm of the UN these days.
Yeah, pretty much. Mm-hmm. But so Miss Stacy was cutting up and teasing me like she always enjoys doing. But hopefully we'll get to see her and JD in Cleveland. But I'm telling you, folks, you should pay attention to what's happening in Cleveland for that Republican National Convention because it's going to be raucous. There'll be the Trump circus. The Trump circus will be there. I think they will unite and come together, except a few hardcore. By the way, they're also upset about Trump not being conservative or conservative enough. I don't even think they know what conservative means anymore because the elected representatives, except for maybe Ted Cruz of Texas, or Mike Lee, some of those guys, Jeff Sessions in Alabama, they're not conservatives. Not even close. They're about power, their own individual power. I used to teach my students that the only thing really, when you get down to the core of it, that an elected member in the House and Senate cares, and the presidency cares about, deep down, is re-election. They don't care about anything else. Just what do I have to do to get re-elected? That's all they really, truly care about, because I don't think they could do anything else.
Most of
now,
the politicians, most of the politicians that are saying that are just repeating what their constituents are saying, and their constituents know very well what is conservative and what is not.
They could be like Bob Livingston, my friend from Louisiana, who I thought might, eventually be the speaker. He did get nominated to be the speaker, but had to drop out, or vice president. He, after 20 years, said, "Randy, I'm done. I'm tired. I need to go out and make my $1 million for my family." We, of course, interviewed him on the show, and he has his own lobbying firm there in D.C., and he's doing well. I think he's an honorable man. But during the interview, he said a few things that I didn't agree with. You and I espouse having term limits at the federal level. I think that's important to have. And he says, no, that's not something that would be, because it takes a couple of terms to learn how to do your job. No, it doesn't, people.
Well, that's because of the nature of what it has become. They have made it a job that it takes a couple of terms to learn, so that you can be there for 6 terms.
No, they want you to think that it takes their special brand of an intellect or a professor to get. Politics is easy. Politics is simple, Lou. It hasn't changed.
Not the way they practice it now. Not the way they practice it now. They have made it more complicated than it has to be.
It's easy, it's simple. Who gets what when? It hasn't changed.
Right. It should be. It should be, but that's not how they practice it now.
Why? Because we have allowed them to make it seem that it's complex. It's not,
exactly.
Folks. It's not. Any one of you out there, I don't care what your educational level, you could do it. And, there could be there's people out there that espouse having a government based on like the jury system. You get selected, okay, the next year you're going to be a sitting representative for Louisiana or for Iowa or for, you're going to be Raleigh-Durham representative, and it'd be like a jury. You could do just as well, trust me. You could. It doesn't matter if you're an 8th grade education or a PhD. It's simple. It's not that hard. They want you to think it's complex when in reality it's not. And they, again, like Lou said, we have allowed them to make it more complex than it really is, thereby assuring them their power base and their job for life. We need term limits at the federal level now, Lou. I'll give the senators 12 years. I'll give the members of the House, okay, give them 12 years. That's 6 terms.
No, give
6
them
elections.
6. No, give them 6.
4?
They get 3 terms. 4? That's it. 6.
All right, 3 terms. There you go.
3 terms. That's it.
I like that.
6 and 12.
Yeah.
That's all they get.
Your director of FBI said that Mrs. Clinton, in his opinion, wasn't sophisticated enough to understand the classification system. Are you kidding me?
Then she's not sophisticated enough to be president.
That's exactly what she's not. You mentioned it earlier. She is not sophisticated enough to be president or any other. She's not sophisticated enough to catch dogs in Philadelphia. I'm sorry, but that's my humble opinion.
She's not sophisticated enough to know that Southerners know when she's faking a Southern accent.
She herself was a classifying entity, an original classifying entity. She could classify documents herself. She was, unfortunately, a senator from New York. Thank you, Daniel Patrick Moynihan, for collaborating and leading office so she could get elected, taking that $10 million payoff. She knows exactly what she was doing, what she did. And he even said that. He said she should have known. Folks, she did know. She knew exactly what she was doing. She was hiding her activities from public scrutiny and from oversight by the government.
Why else would she need a private server? Why else would she need a private server except to? And here's the other thing. And I've watched them. I've watched them do it, and I know that they can. And I've watched them do it to private servers that they never had access to. The FBI can find every email that was ever sent from a server. I don't care what you've done to it, unless you've actually burned it in a gas furnace.
Right.
So if you have completely destroyed the server and turned it to ashes, then they might not be able to find it, but there's still a trace of it somewhere on the internet. I've watched the FBI do this, and I know that they can. So to say that she deleted her emails, therefore they're gone, that's crap. The other thing is, if you look at WikiLeaks, they have 10 times as many of her emails as the FBI was able to find. So hackers found them, but the FBI couldn't. Give me a break.
I think what you're going to find out is going to happen here is a lot of the stuff's going to be leaked out over the course of the next several months because, one, I think Mr. Putin there in Russia has everything she ever sent out.
It's not going to be leaked out. It's on WikiLeaks. You can view emails that the FBI says they could not find right now on WikiLeaks.
You see, folks, isn't that why we love her? She has these relationships with these anons.
It's public.
She knows,
it's not a relationship.
She knows more stuff than I knew.
It's public. It's out there. It's not even. It didn't come to me, but from a relationship. I found it on the internet.
No, you've got a relationship with these mysterious guys.
Yeah,
I know
mysterious people. And I know it's true because I found it on the internet. No, but seriously, it's the hacker that they have extradited and are going to charge for hacking the DNC, dumped these records, and they're now on WikiLeaks. So if they're not valid, then why did the U.S. government charge him and extradite him from Europe?
Right.
Kind of doubt they would if there wasn't something to them. So I don't know. Judge for yourself.
Well, we're getting towards the end here, folks, and hopefully I'll get to go up to Cleveland. Maybe we'll do some broadcasting from up there. Maybe some phone-ins to WNJC and Rick Trader's Conservative Commando show.
Yep.
And we'll see. But, God bless America, and let liberty ring. God help us. And I want you to always remember to speak the truth and endure the consequences. And if you get a chance to read my latest book, Politics America, Lecture Notes of that Lunatic Professor, please do so, and you will learn the truth about American politics.
WNJC W1360 at 5 p.m. on Tuesdays, and we're on K98 Talk at 8 p.m. on Thursday nights. We'll see you next week. Have a great week, folks.
Wake up, Maggie, I think I got something to say to you. It's late September and I really should be at school.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method and to get your free report, go to 29security.com. That's the number 29security.com. 29security.com. Go to 29security.com.